This video is going to cover the installation of a SRAM dub crankset on a CeramicSpeed bottom bracket. There are two different length SRAM dub spindles, depending upon if it's a road use application or a mountain bike use application. The mountain bike spindle is slightly longer. Pairing the appropriate crank and frame standard and frame width ensures the easiest and simplest application and installation. With SRAM dub, there's a slightly narrower bearing seat range than you have with a standard 30mm spindle. So it's critical to get the bearing width placement in an accurate place to have the best performance and have the least issues or noises. With this setup here, on a press fit 30 68mm wide shell, the bearings are placed outboard to hit the appropriate bearing seats on the spindle. Dust covers are already installed with the SRAM dub bottom bracket through an integrated design allowing the benefit of increased contamination resistance and overall durability and keeping everything running clean and in top shape. Go ahead, we'll put a little bit of light grease on the spindle, starting at the taper end. When pressing through the spindle, this will then apply grease evenly throughout. Ensure it spins freely. Go ahead and bring on the drive side and take a look at the end of the flowered pattern on the spindle. We see that a couple millimeters of spacers may be needed to get an adequate setup. We can install with no spacers first to check the fitment, and then you add spacers as necessary for anything that the preload ring will not take up. This is an 8mm Allen key, and it'll be brought to a torque of 54 Nm for proper installation. And as this tightens down, I can see we certainly have between 4 and 6mm of space range, more than the preload ring would take up. Knowing that we'll dial the preload ring, pulling things to the non-drive side, I'll go ahead and include one of the 3mm thick spacers on the drive side to help take up some of that space. Place the spacers in front of the dust cover. We'll reinstall the crank one more time and then adjust with the preload ring. I'm going to bring the preload ring in, ensure things have a nice preload and are not too tight. This spin tells me I have too much on, which we can dial back nice and easy with this ring and open up that spin nicely. We'll tighten this down with a 2mm Allen, securing it in place, preventing any lateral movement of the crank, helping avoid noise issues. And when your crank is properly torqued, you're then now ready to go ride.